Dr. Mathur, thank you for agreeing to give this debut interview for IPEEC. This interview is one way through which IPEEC can provide the global EE community a glimpse of India's energy efficiency achievements, challenges, future plans, and of course meet you in person. Thank you for
Thank you. It's wonderful to be with you.
So I guess we'll start with looking at the history of EE in India and have a few questions which kind of look at that. A lot of movement has taken place in energy efficiency in India over the last 10 years, but particularly so in the last 5 years. How would you describe India's EE path, and what have been the main points that you would like to others to know about?
The Energy Conservation Act was passed in 2001 and the Bureau of Energy Efficiency was created in 2002. And the main goal was to see how markets for energy efficiency can be created, and places where there is market failure, we create regulated markets. And therefore there are 3 regulated markets that were created with the Energy Conservation Act. The first is for appliances, where we are talking of standards and labels. The second is for commercial buildings, where we are talking of an energy conservation building code. And the third is for energy intensive industry, where we are talking of energy consumption norms, minimum energy consumption norms. So this is what the Energy Conservation Act set out. Apart from that, it provided a lot of encouragement to carry out demand side management measures, facilitative measures, informational measures in order to promote energy efficiency. During the past 5 years, we have moved ahead in all of these areas. I think the most successful program is the Appliance Standards and Labeling Program, where the star label on those devices which are used a lot and use a lot of energy have transformed the market. So now we have a situation where for some appliances, air conditioners, refrigerators, having a label is mandatory. In other words, anything which is less efficient than a 1-star cannot exist. More importantly, for these 2 items, we also made the requirements more stringent as of the 1st of January 2012. And so what was 1 star on the 31st of December can no longer be sold in the market. This, over the last 5 years, has resulted in avoided capacity addition of about 5,000 megawatts. So the total savings that we've achieved over the past 5 years, which is about 11,000 megawatts, roughly half has come from the Standards and Labeling Program. It has been made possible because there have been very clear standards negotiated with industry, along with how the stringency levels would come in and when they would come, and most important, through an elaborate campaign over a period of time which built the energy label, its importance and its credibility in the mind of the consumer. We believe that this was very important because what it did was to create energy efficiency as a brand. As far as buildings is concerned, we created the Energy Conservation Building Code, and the past few years have been involved in getting architects to understand the code, to start using it, for architecture schools to train students to use it, get municipalities to adopt it. So today we have about 1,000 buildings at various stages of construction which use the code. Now, the key would happen when the largest municipalities adopt it. Today, municipalities in about 4 states have adopted it, and we hope that by the end of 2012, the 8 or 9 states where the vast majority of new commercial building starts occur would have adopted it. Our challenge now is to get the enforcement mechanism to be able to ensure that the new buildings which are eligible for the Act, the Energy Conservation Building Code, do actually use it. The third area was industry. This, in a sense, was the most challenging area because no matter which sector we went into, what we saw was some of the world's most energy efficient plants were in India. Cement, fertilizer, steel. But in those very same sectors, we also had plants which used 2 times, 3 times, sometimes 4 times as much energy as the best. And therefore, where do we set an energy consumption norm for a sector? To cut a long story short, what we ended up doing is that each plant, each cement plant, each steel plant has a baseline, which is the amount of energy it used to produce a ton of steel or cement or textile for the years 2008, 2009, 2010. That's their baseline. And then they've been given a target that by the year 2014-15, this specific energy consumption has to reduce by a certain percentage. The interesting thing is that this percentage is less for an efficient plant and more for an inefficient plant. That's how we plan to bring the bandwidth closer. So it was a very specific challenge and needed a very specific answer. Now the process of the companies working to meet their targets is on. What we've also done is made a provision that if any company does better than their target, those excess savings will be given to them as energy savings certificates, which could be bought by other industries who find it expensive to meet their targets. And therefore, everybody would be able to together contribute to meeting the target, whether it's company A or company B which does more, but it's done in the most cost-effective manner. Apart from that, there have been a number of other things, particularly to look at changing existing light bulbs, to look at enhancing the efficiency of existing buildings, of water pumping and street lighting in municipality, of agricultural pumps, which has also gone on as demand-side management measures. Some of them have been more successful. For example, the Bachat Lamp Yojana, which looks at changing incandescent bulbs to CFLs in households, is something which is registered as a CDM project. Private sector companies come, they get the CFLs and sell them to households at the price per incandescent lamp. They earn carbon credits and sell those carbon credits to recover their costs and profits. So a very large number of towns now are undergoing the substitution of incandescent bulbs by CFLs in households together with this program. We've also started promoting energy service companies, particularly in the municipal and the building sector. These have not been as successful as we like, but again, it's work in progress.
Okay. That is a lot of work that has been achieved in the last 5 years, and seems that every step that we take, we do face challenges, and any of the initiatives, any successful initiative has challenges in it. And you described some of that, but what do you feel that has been a way in which you've been able to address those challenges effectively and move forward in any of these initiatives that you mentioned?
There are 2 or 3 things that we have learned from the experience. The first is any energy efficiency program is built on successfully bringing together the concerned stakeholders. Clearly, end consumers are one stakeholder. Another one is the people, the suppliers of equipment, the suppliers of money. And the third is the various government agencies and departments. Unless all of these work in tandem, the entire process of creating business models of people being able to profit from energy efficiency would not happen. So, first, consumers need information, and therefore the outreach programs, the branding is very, very important. That's the ultimate drive. So branding on one side and pushing in standards, codes, regulations from the other side is what helps make the market transition occur. Another problem, and a problem which is still unresolved, is how do we get banks to lend for energy efficiency projects? Banks are very comfortable in lending to companies which have a strong balance sheet. But if a company wants, an energy service company for example, wants to borrow for an energy project, that they find it difficult. To that, we are now creating a partial risk guarantee fund, which when a bank lends for energy efficiency, it can come to the guarantee fund and buy guarantee. So that if its loan is not repaid, then 50% of the non-repayment could be taken from the guarantee facility. So it increases the confidence of banks to lend for energy efficiency projects. Another major problem that occurs is, and this is much truer of smaller companies than of larger companies, is what do I do? What is suitable for me? Who is it who can provide me technical assistance? And therefore a lot of our effort has gone into, in a sense, creating typologies. The foundry sector uses A, B, C types of technology. Okay, if you're using A, the kinds of things which will make sense for you are efficient fan, cyclone which pulls air, double blast cupola. So that person can go through the list and say, okay, I have this, I can get a double blast cupola. And then we say, okay, these are the kinds of people who can supply you, these are the kinds of banks who can fund you. So getting this information to the right people is also a challenge.
Given that outreach, communication, branding is a big challenge, what kind of initiatives have we started to kind of bridge that? In the sense, what kind of new partnerships are you looking to create? What kind of outreach programs do you feel will help galvanize and help bridge that specific challenge that you're facing in terms of getting people to understand what needs to get done, what is available out there for them in terms of financing or in other spaces?
The strategies depend on who you want to reach out to. If it's consumers like you and me who go into a store and buy an air conditioner or a refrigerator, a clear message about the fact that model A is better than model B is important. And that's where things like labels, which, as I said earlier, is essentially branding, matters. And independent information through newspapers, through television ads about what is a label, how do you read a label, why is a label beneficial to you, and keep on repeating it so that it stays fresh in the consumer's mind. So that's one set. If you're looking at industry, the best is to go through industry associations or cluster associations where geographical concentration occurs. There the kind of information needed is what is the kind of technology which makes sense, what's the cost-benefit analysis, where can I get this, who can I write to, who are the other people who have done it. So it's a very different kind of information and provided through different routes. A third is, for example, large industry. When you go to large industry, the kinds of challenges are different. I have money, but I could use it in expanding plant, increase my capacity. I could use it to make a new product, or I could use it to put it to energy efficiency. Now here, the message that you are giving is, listen, this energy efficiency is a higher return option as compared to the others. And therefore, the way this is packaged is almost plant dependent, or at least sector dependent. And therefore, the way you would reach them, the information you would provide would be very different. So, ultimately, for a program to be successful, you need all of this.
Would you also believe that trying to find the efficacy of any program, I mean, how do you actually feel, and what would be the performance measure of all the initiatives that you are taking place, and what would be the way that you would like to get results on the programs that you have initiated?
Energy efficiency is a counterfactual. If I am generating electricity, it goes through a meter, it goes into the wire, it can be measured, so many kilowatt hours were generated. In the case of energy efficiency, we have to start with the assumption of a baseline. When we started, this is the amount of energy that was used, this is the kind of efficiency there was. Now what we do is that for each of our programs is that we try to build in a component of the people who are carrying out the program to report back to us how many, for example, energy efficient refrigerators are sold. Why do they do this? Because they are required to do this for the labels being issued. We have linked it to that. Similarly for buildings, people have to get approval, so they have to report. So in each of our programs, the first thing that we try to do is a reporting line occurring back to us on what has been done. and what is the energy efficiency of the product being built or sold. And then what we can do is compare it with the baseline and figure out what the savings are. What we do in addition is give this calculation to an independent agency who then goes and does verification for us, both in terms of calculations, in terms of sample check verification, and ultimately presents its own independent report to the government.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And given the fact that India is moving into its new planning period, what are the new initiatives that has been proposed by BE and the way forward?
We obviously will continue with the labeling program, the buildings program, the perform, achieve and trade program for industry, the partial risk guarantee fund, all of that will continue. But the two new things that we are doing relate to further accelerating the introduction of what we are calling as super efficient appliances. To give you an example, the 30 million fans that we sell today largely use 70 watts of energy. So the program that we are introducing would seek to introduce a 35 watt fan, much more efficient than what is available today. It will cost more, and therefore we will pay an incentive for each such fan actually sold into the market for a 3-year period, which we hope is long enough for then the volumes to build up, prices to come down, so that the 35 watt fan can be competitive with today's 70 watt fan. So this is a qualitative change, because we have never provided incentives in the past for energy efficiency, seeing that it is something which pays for itself. The second program that we are pushing is one which promotes the actual development of new technologies. As we move ahead, we notice that while the uptake of current efficient technologies is increasing, the next generation of technologies needs to be developed. Whether it is low temperature waste heat recovery from industry, or it is very efficient lighting, or very efficient air conditioning, we need to ensure that these products are there for the Indian market. Their performance targets and price targets should be such that they meet the needs of Indians, they meet the pockets of Indians. So pushing needs-based product development is the other new area which we hope will take off in the 12th plan.
Do you feel that these two initiatives will also move towards what I would like to ask you in terms of what would be your dream picture of energy efficiency in India in the years to come? What would be your ideal dream?
You know, ultimately, if every time you and I make a decision, whether it is to buy a refrigerator or to build a building, or if I'm setting up an industry, or even if I'm getting into a car to go from point A to point B, I start thinking about the energy efficient option, and in more cases than not, actually adopt it. That is the ideal situation. What would it amount to in numbers? In numbers, it would amount to the fact that the energy intensity of our economy becomes about 75% of where it is today in the year 2020. If we are able to do this, I think the market for energy efficiency would have been institutionalized, and new technologies will keep on occurring, we will keep on adopting them, and the gradual, I would like to say an accelerated decline of our energy intensity would continue well into the future.
You have, for many years, have been a crusader on looking at energy efficiency and other energy solutions for the country. Is there, what drives you? What makes you keep going at it? Because you have been so instrumental in today's programs and initiatives that the country has adopted.
I enjoy challenges. Whether it is challenges in the energy sector. Similarly, I would like to travel, I like to hike, I like to go to places I haven't been before. The challenge of new environments, I like diversity. I like to see how transformations occur, whether it is, I enjoy science because it teaches me how change occurs. I enjoy energy efficiency policy because, again, it tells me how change occurs, obviously, at a very different level. So, learning to both manage change and even stimulate change is what drives me.
Thank you, Dr. Mathur, for this absolutely interesting, and I'm sure it's very thought-provoking for our viewers. Thank you again for being part of IPEEC's debut interview.
Thank you very much.